Okay, so if you've been anywhere on the internet lately, you've heard this song. It's become the soundtrack to a million memories, a thousand heartbreaks, and honestly, one of the biggest viral stories in Indian music this year. So let's dive into the story behind BAIRAN, the Haryanvi track that became a massive anthem, completely by accident.
Because that's the real story here. I mean, this wasn't some master plan. There was no big record label, no huge marketing budget pushing it down our throats. So how in the world did it take over everyone's feed? Let's break it down. First, let's just get a sense of how massive this song has really become. It's not just popular, it has literally woven itself into the internet's emotional DNA, becoming the go-to soundtrack for so many people's stories. And here's where the audience just took over. BAIRAN became the go-to audio for these super personal memory flashback style edits. You know the ones. People are using simple video editing apps like CapCut and VN with these ready-made templates to pour their own stories of love and loss into the song. It's created millions of unique heartbreak clips. This wasn't manufactured. It was pure, organic connection. But to really get why it connected so deeply, we have to get into the lyrics. And for a lot of people, the true meaning has been a little bit of a mystery. The title itself, BAIRAN, is the key to unlocking the whole thing. It comes from the word bairi, which actually means enemy. But in Haryanvi, it's used as this playful, kind of teasing term of endearment for someone you love. You know, someone who causes you that sweet, beautiful pain of being in love. It's that perfect contradiction that gives the song its entire emotional core. And this right here is a brilliant example of how deep the language is. Probably the most misunderstood line is Gita Mein Gai. A ton of people heard this and thought it was a reference to the holy book, the Bhagavad Gita. But the actual line is Gito Mein Gai, which means I sang about you in my songs. See, it's not religious. It's this incredibly romantic declaration of love, a classic poetic move. And this kind of specific, real-world language is just woven throughout the song. You see phrases like "kad ho raha," which doesn't just mean I'm sad, it's a deep, gut-wrenching kind of distress. "Batue mein rakhun" paints this incredibly vivid picture of keeping a photo in your wallet. And chanchar, or anklets, isn't just a random detail. It's a powerful, romantic image just loaded with cultural meaning. Which brings us to the next chapter of the story, because how this emotionally rich song was even made is just as wild. It was never, ever supposed to be a hit. In fact, it almost didn't even come out at all. So get this, the whole song started around 1 in the morning with an experimental alt-rock style beat. They layered it with that unforgettable lead flute, a really core bass line, and some acoustic guitar to build this amazing fusion sound. But just as the song was coming together, total disaster struck. Their first attempt at shooting a music video was a complete and utter failure. I mean, this quote from the artist really says it all. The quality of that first video was so bad, they felt like it would have completely ruined the song's vibe. They were absolutely devastated. So, with literally no other options, they just released the audio. That was it. No marketing campaign, no big push. They just uploaded it through a service for independent artists called DistroKid and hoped for the best. And then, the YouTube algorithm, and more importantly, the audience, did all the work. It wasn't the industry that made BAIRAN a hit. It was the listeners. So who are the artists behind this incredible, accidental story? It's time to meet the guys who poured their hearts into this track. They're a duo of brothers, Anuj and Sumit, and they go by the name Banjare. Now, the name itself means nomads or wanderers, and that really reflects their whole musical philosophy. Their songs are about travel, both literal and emotional, and about telling really good stories. This quote right here, this is the whole thing. Their goal was never to go viral. They weren't chasing trends or trying to game the charts. They were just trying to connect with people's hearts. And, well, in the process, they ended up doing all those other things anyway. And that's exactly why it worked. They've said the song isn't based on one specific person's heartbreak. Instead, it's about that universal, shared feeling of separation, an emotion that's pretty much as old as love itself. That's the reason so many people felt like the song was telling their own story. And in telling that universal story, BAIRAN did something else entirely. It completely changed the conversation around Haryanvi music for a huge national audience. Yeah, because what we're seeing here with BAIRAN isn't just a one-off viral moment. It's a ripple effect. It's a sign of a much larger cultural shift that's happening in Indian music right now. You know, for years, Haryanvi music got this stereotype of being latmar, aggressive, loud, kind of macho.
But BAIRAN just completely smashed that perception. It showcased this emotional, experimental, and deeply poetic side. Now, the style isn't totally new. Artists like Thondanyolinwala and songs like Kise have been exploring this space. The difference is BAIRAN broke through to the mainstream and opened everyone's eyes to this incredible diversity that was there all along.
So, at the end of the day, Biden basically created a new blueprint for what a hit song can be. It proves that raw authenticity can beat a polished formula. It shows that regional languages and local emotions have a massive national audience just waiting for them. And it's a huge reminder that the most powerful connection always comes from an emotion that just feels real. And that leaves us with one final thought, right? BAIRAN succeeded because it wasn't made for an algorithm. It was made from the heart. It really makes you wonder, in an industry so obsessed with engineering the next big thing, maybe the most powerful hits are the ones that are never engineered at all.